Last night I was dreaming out loud. California sun was making my eyes dry. Can we still make it happen? It's worth a try. Oh, and I might keep on dreaming out loud. It's a beautiful life, staying under blue skies. And next year in the winter, let's give it a try. I'll keep on dreaming out loud tonight. Yeah, I'll be dreaming out loud tonight. I'll keep on dreaming out loud tonight.
Welcome to Wholesaling Inc. Live, where we know that finding discounted property is the most proven path to financial freedom. I'm your host, Brent Daniels, and I am telling you this. If I can do this business, so can you. Now, there's three books. There's three books that dramatically changed my business life. Three business books that 100%, as soon as I read them, it absolutely changed the way that I thought. It changed the way that I acted, and it changed the income that I made because it enabled me to provide more value out there in the marketplace, in real estate in Phoenix, right? Real estate around the world, not the world, but the country at least. And those three, starting from third to first, is number one is Think and Grow Rich. And I love this. This is for men and women who resent poverty. That's what the tagline was in 1937 when this book was released. It's absolutely bananas. Of course, the second one is what Jerry Norton commonly refers to as the Purple Bible, right? The Rich Dad, Poor Dad. This one put me on the path to financial freedom because it put me on the path to look towards not being an employee, not being self-employed, but being a business owner and then obviously an investor. And so this one was absolutely incredible. And the third one is The Go Giver. The Go Giver, I am telling you guys this. In 2015, I made $250,000. All right, $250,000. In 2016, I read this book for the first time. It was given to me as a Christmas gift in 2015, and I read this book. And in 2016, I read this book every single week for that entire year, and I made $750,000 that year in 2016. And it was because of this book that I tripled my income. And let me explain a little bit about this. Okay. This is really, really, really important. Okay. Because when you start out, you have that hunger, you have that hustle, you have that desire, you have that passion, you have that fuel inside you, right? That fire inside you that you can go out there and you can achieve everything. And you have goals, but it's on you. You're what's called a go-getter. Oh, that Susan, she's a go-getter. That Bob, he's a go-giver. That Bill, he's a go-getter. That Marquise, he's a go-getter. All of these, right? He's a go-getter. He's got that big engine, right? Batteries come included with this person, right? But it's the wrong focus. Listen to me. It's the wrong focus. It's not about your goals. It's about the goals of the people that you serve. It's about the goals of all of those distressed property owners out there that are trying to take this stress off of their shoulders. Okay? That is what that is the fundamental shift. Not only that, but what about all the other people? On an average real estate transaction, do you know how many people get paid? 52 people. 52 people every single time we put together a deal, every single time that we're able to take a off-market property or on-market, doesn't matter, whatever your strategy is. But whenever you put together a deal, 52 different people get paid. Isn't that absolutely incredible? So you need to be looking at every single person that's involved in this business, and you need to say to yourself, how do I make them more successful? How do I make them hit their goals? How do I help find and connect people with the right people so that they can achieve the goals that they have? And this was very difficult for me. I don't know if it's because I was a firstborn child and I was selfish. I don't know if it's because my ego was inflated when I was younger, in my 20s, because my parents always told me I could do anything and I was the best in the world. And I had achievements along the way, and I had worked hard and I got it, but that was all me. It was all on me and me and me. And maybe you feel that way. Maybe you're in that same situation, right? But as soon as you start looking outward and you start going out there and finding opportunities to go out there and find people that you can help them achieve their goals, you win. It's unmistakable. All right. Now, I understand this isn't the tactical stuff that we usually talk about on this show in the beginning, but I'm telling you, you get this right. You go out there every single day with a servant heart to go find somebody that you can serve them and solve their problems and truly help them achieve their goals. Like on the seller side, let's put this in two different buckets. On the seller side, we've got these sellers that, they don't know what they're going to do with these properties. Maybe they just inherited it. Maybe they're behind on their payments. Maybe they're getting code violation notices and fines and liens on their property. And it's just adding up and adding up and adding up. And it's really adding to their stress. It's that walnut sized, problem that just sits in their brain. And they think about it once a week, once a day, once an hour, once a month, whatever it is. But it's just lingering and lingering and lingering. And we have the ability, like a surgeon, to go into their brain, pluck that walnut out of their brain, and be able to make them feel like they are themselves again. Remember, they're on Hell Island. Our job is to get them to Heaven Island. And we have to determine, is a cash as is offer going to be the bridge that they cross from Hell Island to Heaven Island? Is a creative finance deal something that's going to take them from Hell Island to Heaven Island, right? Is listing with an agent? Is just re-renting their properties? Is just holding on to it and figuring out and fixing it up themselves? We have to discover what is best for the property owners. But if we go in with assignment fee breath and we're going on these appointments and we're like, I have to meet my quota. Nobody cares about your quota. They care about their quota. They care about their goals. They care about relieving the stress. They care about avoiding the pain or going towards pleasure, right? It's the old Tony Robbins thing that is the motivation behind all things. So it's just really, really, really important at the start of the show. And by the way, this is going to be a wide open show. It's just me and Alejandra. She's going to be picking out your comments and questions and everything. So I want you to start piling in the questions so that we can start answering this. But I am telling you, it is the only guaranteed. I will stand here and guarantee you, if you change your focus into being as much of service to people as possible, and you stop thinking about being a go-getter and what your goals are and going out and trying to help other people achieve their goals, you will triple your business. Not only that, listen to this. We talked about the seller side. What about the buyer side? What about all those cash buyers out there, right? All of those buyers that maybe they got crushed last year. Maybe they're just getting into the business this year. Maybe they did a couple good deals, but they really want to expand their business. How do we help them achieve their goals? How do we help bring them the properties that they want? It's called building a relationship. It's called building a relationship. The author of this book, Bob Berg, talks about the law of 250. Everybody knows 250 people. Everybody knows at least 250 people. So if you work with that one person, that one buyer, right? That one buyer that is a cash buyer and and they made a bunch of money. Guess what? All of a sudden they know 250 other people, right? How many of those other people are investors? Maybe they're tapped out. Maybe they don't have the ability to buy every single deal. Maybe they're just building up their momentum, but they have friends that are now interested in fixing and flipping or adding to their rental portfolio. You need to treat your cash buyers with unbelievable respect. You need to find out, what is your goal? How about this? How about starting today? We go out to every single one of our cash buyers and we say, what is your financial goal this year? I want to help you hit your financial goal this year. How much are you looking to make? How much are you looking to take home to you and your family? You want to blow a cash buyer's face off? You want to blow their mind? They will be like, oh my gosh, I can't believe you're coming to me with that approach. You're coming to me wanting to be of service to me, wanting to hit my goals for myself and my family and my business and the people that work for me and all my contractors and subcontractors and all the people that I've built relationships with. How about you go today and start having that conversation with your cash buyers and start bringing them these incredible opportunities? I am telling you, that's how you weather all the storms. That's how you get through any market, ups, downs, sideways, flat. It doesn't matter. If you have those relationships in your business and you're truly out there trying to be a servant, one, to solve the problems of the property owners, and two, solve the problems of your cash buyers, you will get where you want way faster. Way faster. And I want you to after this show, not during the show, because the show is going to be absolutely jam-packed with tactics and strategies so that you can implement into your business right away. But after the show, I want you to download this PDF. Matt, will you pull it up, please? Right here, the 5 laws of stratospheric success, guys. Number 1, the law of value. Your true worth is determined by how much more you give in value than you take in payment. Number 2, the law of compensation. Your income is determined by, thank you, Matt, how many people you serve and how well you serve them. Number 3, the law of influence. Your influence is determined by how abundantly you place other people's interests first. Right there, guys. Right there is the heart of what I'm talking about. Right there is that conversation that you have with your cash buyers. The law of influence. Imagine this. Imagine if you had 50, 100, 150. Keep it there, Matt. I'm not done yet. I'm still ranted. You had 50, 100, 150 millionaires, cash buyer millionaires that you can go to, that you can surround yourself with, that are now on your squad, that are now part of your personal board of directors, to be able to go to and have questions and be around people that think bigger. People that are out there doing amazing things, people that net over $1 million a year after taxes. And you were able to influence them because you are putting their interests in front of yours. How about the law of authenticity? The most valuable gift you have to offer is yourself. I mean, we're talking about imposter syndrome when we're starting out. How can I talk to all these millionaires? How can I have $1,400 in my account. I'm negative $70 in my account, and I'm supposed to go talk to these people that are millionaires that are so wealthy? Yes. Be you. 1 in 400 trillion is the odds that you're even alive. Every single person, and this is going to get woo-woo, and I get it, but it's an absolute fucking miracle that you're alive. It truly is. So why not go there with the confidence? Why not put into your brain, okay, if I had $5 million in a bank account and I was the most handsome and the most beautiful that I've ever felt, and I had a tall posture and I had a lot of confidence, how would that person go into the situations of having conversations with people that are a few steps ahead of me? Right? How would that person with so much confidence and so much charm and so much charisma and so much character go in and provide value and be influential to people that are a few steps ahead of me? That's you. You've got that in you. Everybody does. You wouldn't be watching this if you didn't. You'd be doing something else. You'd be entertaining yourself. You wouldn't be trying to get the instruction and education so that you can increase your value to the world, increase your skills. You're amazing. 400 trillion to 1. And whittle that all the way down to the 1% of income earners in the world. That's the goal that you have. It's absolutely brilliant. It's beautiful. It's fantastic. You can do it. I know you can. But you have to be yourself. Be yourself. Be that person that has that unbelievable armor of confidence, unbelievable armor. And you get that confidence from going out there and using your heart to go serve other people. and the law of receptivity. It's a cycle. You give, you receive. That's what people don't understand. That's what this whole book is about. This whole book is the more that you give, the more that you actually get. It's actually very selfish to go out there and give and give and give and give and give. So be selfish by giving as much as possible to everybody else. Help everybody else achieve their goals. Have everybody else achieve their dreams. And you will be absolutely unstoppable. Unstoppable. This book came out in 2007, guys. Bob Berg has sold millions of copies of his book and this book. And we talk about mentors. But remember, there's such a thing as an indirect mentor, right? An indirect mentor is somebody that you read the incredible thoughts that they have. And this is a parable. It's an easy read. And what I did is, and just a little hint, I just like highlighted, throughout the book, I would just highlight and I would just read. I wouldn't read the whole book every single week, like cover to cover. I would just read the highlights that I put, and I would put in little tags here of the important pages that I wanted to go to. But that was it. And it absolutely revolutionized my business. So whether it be lead generation, whether it be conversion of those sellers into a signed agreement, whether it be disposition and selling those, or your exit strategy, it all is about giving as much as possible. Use your heart. Use your heart out there. Find what other people's goals are, and you help them achieve it, and you will be unfreaking stoppable. Unstoppable. All right? Awesome. That rant done. That is how you triple your business. Guaranteed. I will guarantee that right now. I've never seen anybody that has truly implemented this type of philosophy and those 5 laws of stratospheric success not triple their business. And you might be a really successful business owner. You might be watching this with your entire team right now. And your entire team's like, oh yeah, I'm pumped up. I'm ready to go. And you as the leader, how do you serve your team? They don't work for you. They work with you. There's a huge difference there. So be the connector. Be the connector in your group. Be the connector in your squad. Be the connector in your business that goes out and finds out what other people's goals. How about asking your escrow officer and your title attorney, what's their financial goals this year? What's their transaction goals this year? Do you know how powerful it is to go out and ask somebody, what is your goal this year? Because I want to help you get there. It's absolutely, it's unmistakable. It's like magic. It's like a true cheat code. If you go out there and you find out with your cash buyers and all the other people that are involved. How about when you go and network with somebody for the first time? I'm just curious, what is your goal for this year in this business? Because I'd love to help you achieve it. Just curious what your goal is, and maybe I could send you some deals. Maybe we can joint venture on some things. Maybe I could, help you add to your portfolio. Like, what is your goal? How about start with that? You feel nervous going to a networking event? You feel nervous going to a conference? You feel nervous on the chat here, putting in a comment or whatever else, trying to squat up. How about you find out what other people's goals are, right? What's your goal and how can I help you get there? It's powerful. It's absolutely incredibly powerful. And that's how you triple your business. All right, guys, remember, 4 parts of the show. Number 1, we're going to give you instruction on what to implement in your business right now. Right now, from here on out, the day you die, the number 1 thing you do when you're networking is ask people what their goals are and find out how you can help them achieve those goals. All right. Number 2 is we squat up in the comments section. Right? We squat up in the comment section so that you know that there are other people that have that crazy brain just like you that wants to go out and absolutely change their financial destiny for them and their family through real estate. All right. Number 3 is we answer the questions. Number 4, my personal favorite of the show, we celebrate your success. If you talk to somebody for the first time in your real estate business, I want to know about it. If you win an appointment for the first time in your business, I want to know about it. If you closed a deal, I want to know about it. Okay. So let's get that all in and let's make sure that we get to all of your questions and whatever you're working on and celebrate the successes that you're having. All right. Because you're not alone. You're not alone out there. You're not alone in this business. You're not an island out there. Because if you're an island out there, that means you're not finding out what other people's goals are. All right. And so we're gonna remove all that. This is the cheat code. This literally revolutionized my entire business, my entire life. And this of course blends into personal and relationships and everything else. I mean, it is. I mean, it goes back to the good book, right? It goes back to the golden rule. It's really, how do we implement that as a business person? And I think that this book right here is the one that shows us the way and gives us the path. And those 5 steps, the 5 keys to stratospheric success are right on. And it's absolutely incredible. All right. So let's start cracking this thing open. Alejandra's been working behind the scenes. She's been on the phone. So I don't know if we've got some questions, but we do. We got a thumbs up. Here we go. Smokey. Brent, what are your thoughts on calling Sundays? There's always madhouse owners because of religious services scouting my first deal. That's true. I mean, sometimes you're going to run into that, but what about Saturdays? What about people that celebrate religious events on Saturday, right? So I think, listen, you're going to run into people that, that won't answer the phone typically if it's truly a religious day where they, it's at rest. It's the Lord's Day. And so, I don't think that a lot of them answer. I mean, if they're mad, then you just move on. They're probably not going to be in a place to work with you, right? They're not going to do business with you. But, I never called on Saturdays and Sundays. I mean, I did super Saturdays, just, once a month to get everybody pumped up and to bring people in that couldn't usually Monday through Friday see me in action. And it was a cool environment. And we've done a Super Saturday. We actually have a recap dropping tomorrow on this channel. So make sure, guys, if you're not subscribed, make sure that you subscribe to this channel. Hit that bell so that you get the notifications when these videos come out. But I was up for 3 hours. About an hour and a half of it was me on the dialer making calls on a Saturday. And you get to hear it. And you get to see it. And you get to, that whole prove it, Brent, prove it. Well, there you go. You'll see it tomorrow. All right. But yeah, I never worked on the weekends because I did my work on Monday through Friday. But if you don't have the ability to do that, then you don't have the ability to do that. So, yeah. Smokey, and where could I find the new fix and flip repair chart? Is Matt here? I think he just left. All right, I'll pull that up, Smokey, in just a bit. We'll make sure to pull up the fix and flip repair chart and get that going. All right, cool. Walter, hey, Brent, is the percentage times ARV still 0.84 and 0.9 for bigger markets like SoCal, Florida, etc.? Yeah. I mean, you might want to adjust that a little bit to 0.8. I mean, if you can get it at 80% minus repairs, you're going to be in a phenomenal zone. But what I would do, Walter, is, again, go to your cash buyers. Hey, I wanted to reach out. I wanted to see if you were still buying, still fixing and flipping, still adding to your portfolio, still investing in real estate. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, great. I just wanted to see what your goal was. And I know that's a weird question to ask. I would literally have this conversation. I know that's a weird question to ask, but I want to help achieve that goal. I want to send you really good deals, and I don't want to send you junk, because that's like the number one complaint when it comes from wholesalers is you just send them, deals that aren't really deals. And so, yeah. That 0.8 I think would probably be right, but check with your cash buyers and find what their buy box is, because listen, in SoCal, I mean, there's some properties there that they'll buy they'll buy it at close to retail value, and Miami and LA and Seattle and some of these other places, unless it needs, I mean, obviously if it needs significant rehab, you want to be, if you can go 0.8 or 0.9 minus the rehab on those, I think that you're going to find some really good investors. Yep. All right. Awesome. Relentless. After you pre-qualify and the seller agrees to sign the purchase and sale agreement, what's a good way to explain the next steps in the process? Like opening escrow? Okay. Great question. Great question. So this is where, they're going to, the title company or closing attorney is going to reach out to them. They're going to send you a packet of information to fill out. All right. This packet of information is going to just verify who you are, and it's going to see if there's any liens that need to get paid off in this process. So I really need you to communicate well with the title company. As soon as they send over that packet of information, make sure that you fill it out. If you have any questions about it, or if you need my help filling out anything, let me know. I'll help out as much as I can. Obviously, I can't answer personal questions for you, and I can't, I'm not going to get into a lot of the different liens that you have. But if you have the information on what liens you have, give that to the title company, and they'll do their job. And listen, if you have, this is why escrow and title company is absolutely critical. Absolutely critical, okay? Because they will do the work for you. They will get your client. You should be confident when you turn that purchase and sale agreement over to your escrow company, your title company, that they're going to take over from there. They're going to transaction coordinate with that seller. They're going to over communicate. The seller's not answering. The seller's not responding to the email. Great. Go bring it to their house. Do whatever. I need you guys to take this off my plate. I can't bring more deals if I have to service the transactions when it's in your hands. Okay, so I need you to be a part of my team. I need you to partner up. This goes back to asking what are their goals. And the best, I'm telling you, our title and escrow company, Abby, Officer Abby, she's an absolute savage. She will go to the ends of the earth to go and get anything, any information that they need to get the deal done. So I'm confident knowing, boom, I can just turn this over, and my team is focused on finding more deals, converting them into more deals, and selling those for as much as possible. There you go. By the way, Jeremy, my dispo guy, about 30 minutes ago, he's working a hot one. We're up to 55K on this assignment. It's going to be bananas. I think he could get it to, 65, 70, but it's a 3 duplexes in decent shape in a good area here. Well, decent area in Phoenix, and it is a hot one. Woo! Text message blasting, tired landlords, multifamily. Boom. There you go. So just as a side note, we call every list, we text every list at the same time. We use Mojo Dialer to call them. We use Launch Control to text them. They are the absolute best. If you can send the code to Matt for Launch Control, that way, guys, I'm telling you, they take care of this channel. They take care of people in the Rhino tribe. They take care of anybody that is in our world. And so they write the text, they write the responses. You have a customer service person. Guys, do not go into this and just raw. I would definitely use, if you're going to text blast, I definitely suggest it's in the comments. Put it in the comments, and also put it on the screen for Matt, please. Tenantries. Yes, I will. I will bring Super Saturday back. That is awesome. Yeah, we're planning on, we're trying to figure out a date in February to be able to do that, but it was awesome. I love it. I mean, listen, guys, I hadn't been on the dialer for 3 years. I hadn't been consistently on the dialer for 6 years. Remember the steps, right? First, go out and get your first deal. Second, get consistent so that you can fire your boss forever. And third, start firing yourself in different roles. Well, I fired myself in the phone prospecting role after 10 years of making calls in 2016. That's been taken over by the incredible Fran. And before that, it was a couple other callers. But Fran made us $685,000 last year. Absolutely incredible. But yeah, I mean, listen, I love Super Saturday, and it was a lot of fun. And by the way, because I've talked to 45,000 plus property owners, it's like riding a bike. So get on the phone and just start ripping and running. So it's a skill that you build, and it doesn't go away. That's the most incredible thing. Like if something crazy happened tomorrow and I lost everything, I'd be on the phone and I'd have it back within a year. No doubt about it. No doubt about it. There you go. Launch Control. Guys, they're very good. They're very, very, very good. And they grease the wheels if you're part of the tribe and part of this channel. So there you go. Jose, Mr. TTP, what are your top lists to buzz this quarter one, quarter two? We went down. We haven't done this in a while, Jose, but we've been going down getting code violation lists from the neighborhood services department in Phoenix, and it's typically it's city by city, and those have been awesome, really awesome. But it's a bit of work. Right? Driving for dollars is still hot. Multifamily is still hot. You know, the interesting thing that we're finding, and this is kind of just we're negotiating 3 other deals right now that's multifamily, and every single one of them, the owners are real estate agents. Why do you think real estate agents are unloading their properties right now? Because they need money. They need income. They need to be able to survive the squeezing down of the markets. So when you get that real estate agent on there that they bought it a few years ago, or maybe 8 or 10 years ago, and they're ready, they need to sell this thing right now. Whoo! Multifamily, owned for, I would say, at least 4 years, but the further back you go in ownership, the better. I'd probably go, they've owned it at least 7 years or 10 years first, and then start working your way up after you've talked to all of them. Man, powerful. Absolutely powerful. Great question, Jose. And great picture. You look great. There you go. Tracy, you're the best. Just got back from a walkthrough on a vacant for sale by owner, tired landlord home. That is a mouthful. Vacant FSBO. The FSBO guy stands for sale by owner, tired landlord home. We'll call with an offer later today when the seller is available. Getting on a dialer in the meantime. If that doesn't deserve a bell, Hondra, what does? Come on. Here we go. Oh, and by the way, Alejandra just reminded me that the incredible Nisi, who is part of the Rhino tribe in the mentorship, closed her first deal today, and I can't wait to share her story. I'm not gonna go into it now, but I am telling you, if you want the definition of somebody that has dealt with incredible challenges in her life, oh my gosh. And to be as powerful as she is right now, going out there and finding properties and wholesaling them and building an incredible business for her children and her grandchildren, I am telling you, it's going to blow your face off. Nisi definitely deserves a bell ring. Here we go. Love it. That is going to be a podcast on the Wholesaling Inc. podcast coming soon. By the way, if you're not if you're not subscribed to that podcast, we put out incredible podcasts every single day. It's the number one wholesaling podcast by far. Well, the wholesale hotline is sneaking up, but Wholesaling Inc. gets 300,000, 350,000 downloads a month. It's absolutely incredible. Definitely check that out, and definitely check out the Facebook group page, Wholesaling Inc. And you can check that out. There you go. Brandon, I've been wholesaling since 2018, have good deals to maintain, but looking to get more consistency. I have one VA to cold call, but how many should I do and focus on? Not how many should I do? I'm thinking maybe how many marketing channels should you do? I don't know, Brandon. I'm kind of confused at the end of that. I get it. You're probably on the phone or something. But number one, listen, Brandon, if you're not having consistency and you fired yourself from making calls, unfire yourself. I've had this conversation 4 times in the Rhino tribe this week. I made 100,000. I had $100,000 month, and now I don't have a deal locked up. Okay. So what's going on? Well, my callers aren't doing this and that. Okay, great. So what are you doing? Well, I'm not doing anything. I'm kind of just like, I just want to work on the business, not in the business. Yeah, but you have no money coming in. You're going to give all that money that you just made back to the market. You're going to give it back to VAs. You're going to give it back to pulling lists and data and skip tracing. How about you stay on the dialer, stay on being proactive in your business until you make 30 grand 3 straight months. 1 month of great business does not get you into the Hall of Fame, the real estate Hall of Fame. Doesn't exist, right? But you get it. But just make sure that you are you're implementing, right? And make sure that you're going out there and you're actually taking the action. And you're taking what you learn here, you're implementing into your business, and you're on the phones until you build that consistency, until you build that big, heavy, healthy bank account. Do your first deal, get consistency, fire your boss, fire yourself from specific roles when you're at that point where you've got enough consistency, right? A lot of people want to go and fire themselves day one. Oh, well, I don't want to make any calls. I don't want to do any texts. I just want to hire that out. I'm a businessman. I'm a businesswoman. I'm going to just do this and they're going to send me leads, and then I'll hire a VA to follow up with the leads, and then I'll just get deals and just make, passive money right off the bat. Doesn't work. Anybody that's selling that strategy has been in the business a short amount of time. I'll tell you that. Wholesaling Inc., by the way, we've been the most trusted since 2013. 10 years. Find somebody that's been there a long time and listen to what they say. All right. It's going to really change it. How many hours should I make for calls? Oh, got it. Brandon. So if it's you and your business and you've got a VA, I would do it simultaneously until you're totally packed with leads and deals, and 15 hours for you. And then for a VA, I would go for 40. Now, remember, with a VA, you're going to be between 80 to 100 hours if their English is their first language to get a deal. 80 to 100 hours of them calling to get a deal if English is their first language. If it's not, then it's going to be, it could be 160 to 200 hours. And guys, you will not believe what I have in store. You will not believe what I have in store for you. This is the surprise. And I was waiting until we got a nice, robust audience, because I am telling you, I have a guest that's going to come on here that is going to blow your mind. We've already been talking about him. I've been real sneaky about it. We've already been talking about him for the last 30 minutes. Sold millions of books. He has transformed the mushy minds like myself and millions of others that are go-getters, that the batteries were included, that have a big engine, but just weren't pointed in the right direction. And he's turned us into go-givers. From Jupiter, Florida, guys, I have the incredible Bob Berg, author of The Go-Giver. Bob, how are you?
Brent, it's great. Great to be with you. Thanks for having me.
I am so excited to have you on here.
Thank you.
Obviously, you've had a huge impact on my life, and because of you, I have been able to give your book out to, I don't know, it's got to be 500 people now.
Wow.
And oh yeah. Yeah, Bob. What's the record? What's the record of people that have given your book out, The Go-Giver, out? Do you know?
I don't know, but that's what you've done is certainly you're an ambassador of the message, and you're an embodiment of the message.
That's absolutely true.
By giving them a lot of value and touching the lives of lots and lots of people. So thank you.
Well, I'm so excited to have you on here, and I wanted to have some fun in the second part of having you on here. I have 5 tweets that you had put out. You single-handedly have made me want to get back on Twitter, because Twitter was kind of a very negative place, but you make it a very warm and loving and heartfelt place.
Thank you.
Which is tough to say for Twitter. So we have 5 tweets from you that I'd love to have. Bob explains his tweets in just a second, but you in your book, Endless Referrals, the core of that talks about, and this is a different, guys, he has incredible books that he's co-authored and authored himself. And all things being equal, people will do business with and refer business to those people they know, like, and trust. Right?
Yeah. That's that underlying premise, I think, of everything I've written. But I also think it's the underlying premise of every good business and every business relationship that you see. And, it's interesting because that quote is often misquoted by having something left out. A lot of times people will say, Berg said that, people will do business with and refer to those people they like and trust. That's fine. But there's the important part that was the beginning of that. All things being equal. Now, here's the thing. All things are never totally equal, but they're close enough. They're close enough that if all other things are either equal or close to being equal, then it will be. The business will go to, the referrals will go to those people they know, like, and trust.
I love it. So when you're saying things, things might not be equal, you could get out relationshiped, right? It could be they want to do business with their best friend, or they want to do business with somebody else, or maybe they've had long-term like what makes things not equal?
It could be depending upon the situation. It could be a lack of availability. It could be the price is so much different when the intrinsic value isn't that different.
Yeah.
Okay. Here's an example way outside the business. Okay. When I was a little kid, I lived in a little town called Peabody, Massachusetts. And we had this doctor, Dr. Vonsalides, Dr. V, we called him. Lovely, fantastic, wonderful person. Went to him, my whole family did, until I was about 4 years old, and we moved to the town of Natick, Massachusetts. It's about 50 miles away. But we really love this doctor, this dentist. And so for all my boyhood life, twice a year, the family and I trekked up, 50 minutes to Peabody, Massachusetts to see Dr. V and back home. It's just what we did. It wasn't totally equal because we could have found somebody in Natick, but it was close enough to equal that the relationship with him, the know, like, and trust was so extraordinary that we went to him. Now, when I eventually moved to Florida, okay, things were so far from equal because I didn't want to have to go. I live in Jupiter. I didn't want to drive down to West Palm Beach, take the plane all the way to Logan Airport in Boston, fight through the traffic to get up to Peabody, have the appointment, come back, do the same thing, fight through traffic, go to Logan Airport, get on the plane. But things were not even close to equal. So of course I got a dentist down here. Okay. But all things being equal or close to it, we go with Dr. V, of course. And that's what I mean. So it might be something where someone needs a product in 10 days and you just can't get it in 10 days. The competitor can get it in 10 days.
Sure.
Okay. So things aren't close to equal, but if things are close, then it's a matter of the relationship. So we need to be realistic in that, if you can't deliver in 10 days and they need it for their client in 10 days, it's not close enough to equal. It's not going to be about the relationship. It's going to be about what is just, So, so I think we always have to look at it in a real world way.
Sure.
Real world way, though, also means that the relationship's very, very important. And if it can possibly come into play, it will.
Incredible. So, Bob, in our business, we wholesale real estate. Mm-hmm. So we've got ugly houses out there that need complete renovation. And then we've got these investors, which we call cash buyers, that go in. And our job as the middleman is to match these two up and to earn a fee in the middle for finding these deals. When you're talking about getting referrals and building a successful business, I was going on and talking to the cash buyers and the investors and saying, what is your goal? What is your goal this year? And how can I help you achieve that goal? Give us some like Bob Berg wisdom on how do we go and like really be the guys and gals that are trusted in our market, that one, find the best deals, but also help out these property owners that are truly in a distressed situation.
Well, if we're talking about developing and cultivating relationships with the right people, okay, and your game is who the right people is. That's not something I would know, but that's something you would certainly know, and so forth. The question then would be, how do you do that? How do you develop a relationship? Well, you do that by putting it before the business, right? And understanding that to the degree that you make another person feel genuinely good about themselves, right? that's the degree that you're ready to have that happen. And I'll just tell you, when I first started in sales, and it was about 40 years ago, and I was on the phone a lot, and I had to make a lot of prospecting calls, and I had to develop relationships over the phone. I remember this is well before the days of, email, Zoom, many of those kind of things. It was phone calls, and you had to develop relationships. Well, one of the things I realized right away, right away, is that nobody ever hung up the phone on me while they were talking.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. It's an amazing thing. If I'm trying to tell them all about myself and about my product and about my service and why it's so good and what, they're not interested. Right. But if they're talking about themselves and their business, they're totally engaged. And I often say to my audiences, at a live program, I'll say, how many of you have ever been in a conversation with someone who let you do practically all the talking? And people will raise their hands. Didn't you kind of come away from that conversation saying to yourself, wow, what a fascinating conversationalist that person is?
Mm-hmm.
And all they did was ask us about ourselves. And that's where we want to start. Whoever we're talking to, we want to start by investing 99.9% of the conversation, asking them questions about themselves and about their business. Now, I like to do this asking what I call feel-good questions. Feel-good questions are questions that are they're not salesy, they're not prospecty, they're not intrusive, they're not invasive. They simply, they make this person feel good, right? About themselves, about the situation, and as a result, about you. So I have 10 of these in my arsenal, but you'll never have time to ask all 10. In fact, even if you do have all the time, time to ask all 10, don't do it. Because even though these are wonderful questions that they'll love answering, if you ask any more than 2 or 3 at any one time, you'll kind of come across as an investigative reporter. You don't want to do that, right? So, but just if you'll ask these first 2 questions, you'll be amazed at how attracted to you this person becomes in terms of wanting to engage with you and wanting to know more about you and being more open to how you can help them. Okay. So the first question is to simply ask, how did you get started in the so-and-so business? Okay. So you
Love it.
So what would this person be doing, Brent, that you're talking to?
So like an investor, they fix and flip houses.
Okay. So how did you get your start flipping homes? Or how did you get started as a real estate investment professional? Okay. And that's even a nicer way to say it, as a real estate investment professional. How did you get your start? Now, this is not a particularly clever question. It's not a slick question. In fact, it's a pretty mundane question. How did you get started as a so-and-so? Okay. But here's the thing. People love answering that question.
Mm-hmm.
Why? Because unlike most people who's just trying to, what I call, sell them your hat, right? Who just is about you, and you're communicating to this person that I value you. I want to know more about you. I want to hear your story. In other words, you're basically making them the movie of the week. And they appreciate that because nobody asked them that question. No one's asking them that question. Their own family has never asked this person that question.
I talk about that all the time, Bob. Like, as soon as I became, like, you think that once you hit a financial point in your life, like, everybody's going to throw you a party and you're going to, like, everybody's going to be like, oh my gosh, you're just doing so well. And it's going to be this big celebration. No, people are living their lives.
Right,
you know what
exactly.
I mean? Like, people are living their lives. And certainly in our business of wholesaling real estate, it's a small community of people that actually do this. So when you actually tell somebody, oh, I wholesale real estate, they're like, they just go blank. You know what I mean? The eyes gloss over and nothing happens. So when somebody comes up and asks you how you got started and whatever it is, I mean, I think this works in all parts of life, but certainly if you're at a networking event, or if you're at a conference or whatever else, how did you get started in this? I mean, I love that.
Yeah. So the next question is, what do you enjoy most about your work? And it might come across, it might come across as, when they've told you a little bit about their story, And, again, of course, you respectfully, actively listen, and you will find people have fascinating stories when you truly care and truly listen. And then it's to maybe say, wow, you've had sounds like you've had some fascinating experiences. What do you enjoy most about your work? What do you enjoy most about, flipping homes? And again, it's a feel good question. You're asking them, what do they enjoy most about it? So by the very nature of the question, it makes them feel good about themselves. And again,
Yep.
feel good about you. Now, what I call the one key question may or may not work with this particular person in this case, because you already know and they know but it would be if you're talking with somebody maybe who's not in the business, because remember, you're still wanting to build relationships with people, because you never know who knows a home flipper who would use you. But it's to ask the question, what I call the one key question: how can I know if someone I'm speaking with is a good prospective client for you? Right.
Mm-hmm.
And so forth. But here's another question you can always ask, and that is, how can I know if someone I'm speaking with would be a good connection for you? How can I know if someone I'm speaking with is someone you'd like to meet? So
Love it.
any of these questions. Now, there's also questions called form questions, FORM. F stands for family, asking people about their family. Generally
Mm-hmm.
speaking, people love talking about their talented spouse, their student athletic straight A son or daughter, right? O stands for occupation, which we've been talking about. R is
Mm-hmm.
recreation. Do people love talking about their recreational activities? Sure, they do. That's why they do them. So they may be a skier. And so now remember, you can go back to those first couple of feel good questions. How did you get started skiing? And they'll tell you about family vacations or the person they met who introduced them to skiing and how they, right? What do you enjoy most about it? Right. And they'll tell you some of the great stories with it. Right. And
Yeah.
so you've got family, occupation, recreation, and then M is message. And this is that thing that they see as bigger than themselves. This might be the charitable cause they're involved with. It could be something that's special to them. And of course, when you're asking them questions about that, they just love. So you start, and we're not talking about a long conversation here. We're talking a 5 to 7 minute conversation that,
Yep.
bang, absolutely positions you in their mind as someone who they would like to cultivate a relationship with.
I love it. How do we develop if we don't naturally have it, which I think most people do, but I think some people struggle with this, is is there a way to develop curiosity? You know what I mean? Like we
I
talk
think
about
it's,
being interested in people make you interesting, and
yeah.
that's been around for forever. But how do we develop curiosity to not have like in our mind going, okay, FORM, got to put it in this
Oh,
order. You know
well,
what I mean?
there's two questions here, and both are good ones. The first one is how do you really develop an authentic caring about that other
Yes.
person, right? And you develop it by just doing it, you know, asking questions
Yeah.
and in your own mind being interested. In his wonderful book published in, I think it was 1959, The Magic of Thinking Big, Dr.
Mhm.
David Schwartz. That's where I first learned that that opposite of what people think, action precedes feeling. Feeling does not precede action. I mean, just think about it. When you need to make phone calls, that we can call
Mhm.
them cold calls if you want, and
Yep.
because a lot of times it's just, hey, that's just what it is. You are
Yep.
getting on the phone, and that's not a necessarily a pleasant thing to do.
Sure.
It's really just not. Okay, if you wait until you feel like making cold calls before taking action, you might be waiting a really long time. But if instead you just act upon it and start making those phone calls, okay, getting comfortable with it, sitting up straight and tall, having that smile on your face, putting that mirror in front of you, having that smile on your face, being genuinely interested in helping the person you're calling, you act as if you get into, and you'll start adopting that feeling.
Mhm.
Feeling follows action. So the way that you begin to do that is just by doing it. Now, in terms of your question, so you're not thinking, okay, Berg's questions, which form, FORM, what am I? No, this is where practice comes in, like anything else. Okay. You can go to burg.com/10Q10Q and you can just download my, or you don't have to download.
Matt, can you put
Print-
that on
print-
so
print
everybody
out
can
the
have
right-
it? We'll put it across the
Yeah.
screen here.
Sure.
One more time, Bob. What was it?
burg.com/10Q for 10 questions.
Love it.
Yeah. And just you don't have to learn all of them at once, though it's great to know all of them just so that you can ask the ones that you want to ask but just the first two. Okay. How did you get started in the so-and-so business? What do you enjoy most about it? And then the form questions, it's easy, form, family, occupation, recreation, message, but practice with others, practice with yourself, practice with your family pets. I mean, it doesn't matter. Just keep on doing it. So, because you don't want to be in the situation thinking about it. You want to know it before. And this brings up the question. So, Bob, are you saying that we should rehearse these things? Isn't that less than authentic? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Have you ever been to a play? I don't care if it's Broadway or your local theater, and you see people on stage doing this magnificent job up there. Do you think for a minute they're simply winging it? Absolutely not. They've practiced it. They've drilled this. They've rehearsed it again and again and again. And it doesn't sound rehearsed because now it's not. Now it's just part of their being. They said Yul Brynner, who played the king and I on stage and in the movies, I think he played it on stage like 5,600 and gazillion times or whatever. They said he didn't play the king. He was the king, right? He embodied it. But first he rehearsed it and learned a script. So that's okay. It's are you being genuine and authentic as you're doing it? Which,
well, listen, if you truly care, you want to be good at it. And if you want to be good at it, you practice it.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? And it's not just, I just need to go out there and not have any, just be unconscious and just whatever. No, if you're not naturally curious and you're not naturally interested in people, you got to practice that.
Yeah. And imagine a band going on stage, your favorite.
Oh, it'd be a mess.
Yeah. Can you imagine them not practicing? Can you imagine them not rehearsing? So no, that has nothing. No, we learn as professionals. We learn our trade, right?
I love it.
Practice. And then
guys,
we can be authentic, because now when you're asking the questions, you're not having to be thinking of yourself. What am I going to ask next? No, you can be 100% focused on that other person.
Yep. Well, conversation versus interrogation. Not going into all of the questions so that you're pulling out all the stuff to see if it suits you, but being open to understanding who is this person and how can I be of service to them if possible. I love it. Let's get to your tweets, Bob.
Okay.
Let's get to some of these tweets. I'm going to put them up on the screen, and it's going to be explain these tweets. So the first one here
with the 10 feel good questions, it's burg.com/10Q.
10Q. I think he pulled it right from your site, Bob.
Yeah. Oh, maybe they took it off. That maybe it opened up into a bigger thing. Okay, that's fine if that works. Absolutely.
Yep. Right here.
Okay.
Self-respect is where every other kind of respect comes from. Respect from others is a reflection, not the source. What does that mean?
Yeah, and that's from John David Manson, my follow-up to the Go Giver. Go Givers Sell More. Mm-hmm. And that's simply understanding that, sometimes we feel good about ourselves based on what other people think about us, but we really don't feel good about ourselves if we're depending upon what other people think about us. We feel good about ourselves because we think well about ourselves. The paradox is, if we think well about ourselves, the chances are much greater other people are going to think well about us. We first must respect ourselves. Only then is the chances likely that other people will respect us. Now, when I say respect ourselves, I don't mean being a egomaniac. It's understanding our strengths. It's understanding our weaknesses. It's being able to we can ignore the weaknesses that don't matter. We need to mitigate the ones that we need to mitigate, and we need to turn certain weaknesses into strengths.
Sure.
Right? But if we're working on ourselves constantly, then we've earned the right to feel good about ourselves. And when we respect ourselves, others are much more likely to as well.
And I think that that just allows us. I mean, it's almost like you give yourself permission to go and initiate a new relationship and go and want to be of service to other people. If you don't respect yourself, I feel like you're going to be kind of put a force field around you and wear an invisibility cloak and just hope that you can just kind of do business by yourself and it just kind of happens. But it happens so much faster and it's so much more rewarding to do it with friends and to do it with people that you genuinely care about. And that starts with yourself.
Absolutely.
I love that. Tweet number 2.
Okay.
A frame can be defined as the
Mhm.
foundation from which everything else evolves. So set a frame of collaboration, win-win, love, and prosperity, and you are already 90% of the way there. The opposite is also true, however, so frame very consciously.
Yeah. So a frame is really where it's at. That 90%. When you have set a positive frame with this other person, remember, if the frame is the foundation from which everything else evolves, right? The correct frame means you're always going in the right direction. Now, the good news is if someone comes to you in a negatively set frame or an opposition type frame or a adversarial frame, you have the ability to bring it back on track and set a positive frame. But let me give you an example of a frame that really I think explains what it is.
Yeah.
And this happened a few years ago. It's probably my favorite all-time frame story. I was at a local Dunkin' Donuts, and there was a little boy, a toddler, probably between 2-3 years old, and he was running around the restaurant. And his parents called him back over to their table. So he's walking back there, and he slips on the floor. He takes a spill on the floor. Now, you could tell he wasn't hurt, but you could also tell he was shocked, right?
Mhm.
This was not something in his realm of experience. Well, the first thing he did was what? He looked at his mom and dad to get their interpretation of the event. What does this mean? What does this mean, right? Now, I truly believe that had the parents gotten upset and panicky and, oh no, my poor baby, he'd have started crying, right?
Mhm.
But they handled it just so beautifully. They walked over to him quickly but very calmly. They had these very serene smiles on their faces. They smiled at him. They laughed. They said, "Oh, what a fun trick! Can you do that again?" And well, what did the little boy do? He started laughing, right? What the parents did is they set a productive frame from which he could operate. So rather than having to soothe him and dry his tears after he started crying his eyes out, right? No, they set the frame so that it was no big deal. It was fun. This was a good thing. I fell down and wow, my parents really liked it. And I thought that's a frame. Now, let's say, and that's easy, by the way, to set a positive frame, smile and you greet someone the right way. That's fine. But what about when someone says to you, I working with people like you is just something I've never enjoyed because all you do is you blah 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 blah. Okay, now that's a negative frame, right? If you
Mhm.
were to buy into that adversarial frame and work from there, what would you do? You'd be defensive, you'd be reactionary, you'd argue with the person, you'd defend your position, or you'd tell the person to go jump in the lake or whatever. None of these are productive. None of these are productive. You've bought into that frame, right? 90% of the way to the result. It doesn't work. So instead, what if we can respond? What we wait to hear this person out. We have a look on our face. It's just non-committal, but it's one of peace and so forth. And we're listening to them so they know they're being heard. And then we might say something like, Tom, sounds like you've had some experiences in the past that weren't very productive or certainly weren't very amiable or fun. And I'm sorry that happened. Whether or not I'm the right person for you to work with, I can't know without exploring deeper and discovering what you're really looking to accomplish through that. And so let's do that. And if it turns out, we're a good fit, great. If not, that's okay too.
I love it. We run
How
across that
easy-
all the
yeah.
time.
So you've just reframed this now
Mhm.
from two adversaries to two allies who are just looking out for that person's best interest.
Is that the in your book?
Oh, that's in my book, Adversaries into Allies, which
Yeah.
is another book I wrote. Actually, it's out of print now. We're going to rebrand it as Genuine Influence, which is what in the book, The Go-Giver Influencer, we call genuine influence.
Yeah.
And so, the Go-Giver Influencer is probably my favorite book in the Go-Giver series because it's all about people skills.
Yep.
And I'm a big believer that people skills are the skill that separates the successful from the stratospherically successful. Yeah, I mean, you got to know what you're doing. Don't get me wrong. You've got to have the skill set. You've got to have the competence. You've got to know what you're doing. But again, when you think about all things being equal, right? It's the person who can work effectively with others, who can make people feel genuinely good about themselves. This is the person who just, kind of has the world eating out of their hands.
And that's, I believe in that, but what was it? Influence versus manipulation?
Well, it was persuasion versus manipulation.
Persuasion.
Yeah, because
Exactly.
influence by definition is the
Yep.
ability to move a person or persons to a desired action, usually within the context of a specific goal. That's influence.
Yeah.
You can influence one of two ways. You can persuade, which is very positive. That
That,
that is helping them do what they want for their reasons, which
mhm.
benefits both them and you. Or if you manipulate, that's getting a person to do something for your reasons only, whether or not it hurts that other person.
That was the problem that I had early on in my real estate career. Was I felt that I had to learn these secret manipulation strategies, the right the right things to say in every situation, the right way to not answer a question and flip it back on them. And once you learn that the persuasion, that's much more
Yeah.
powerful.
A
I
lot
mean,
of it's
you don't have
intent.
to manipulate anybody, and you
Right.
feel better about it in your soul. You feel better about persuading somebody to take an action than trying to manipulate into something that they're going to regret later, and it really doesn't ever work out. It's like
It
trying to
does.
hold a bunch of sand in your hand. It's going to fall out at some
It
point.
is.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
When you think about it, sales, which is what we're all in, okay, no
Yep.
matter what we're doing, selling is simply, when it comes right down to it, it's discovering what the other person needs, wants, and desires and helping them to get it. If you're willing to do that, and there's a way to do it, you ask the questions that you teach how to ask. You take the actions that you learn how to take that you teach. You do the absolutely, but you're always doing it with the intent of discovering how they are going to benefit from doing business with you.
Love it.
My Harry Brown, one of my old mentors, he wrote a book, The Secret of Selling, right? And he said, the secret of selling need not be a secret. Simply find out what the other person wants and help them get it.
That's it.
Right.
All right.
Yeah, if as long as we're focused on them, we're heading in the right direction.
But that's difficult sometimes, right? I mean, it's difficult when we're like trying to pay our bills. It's difficult when, we're still at our parents' house, or, we've made some mistakes and we lost a bunch of money, and now we feel down about ourselves. Like, how do we get back
Sure.
into that place of that, not the self, like, not loathing, but kind of like your confidence is taken from you, and you feel
Well,
like you're kind of imposter syndrome if you try to go out and
sure.
help people, and you just don't feel like you're very valuable.
Well, it's a human thing, right? I mean, I think we've all been there at one time or another. And, there's a certain point where first we just have to understand that we all go through this. I think one of the things that knocks people out of any business, right? People who could have been top producers, top money earners, just top leaders in a business. It's not being told no. It's thinking they're the only ones being told no.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
It's not falling down on your rear end. It's thinking you're the only one that's falling down on your rear end. It's not feeling like a failure. It's thinking you're the only one who's feeling like a failure. And so we look at these people who, are hugely successful people, and they walk across the stages of the world, or they're doing all these great things, and they are. The mistake is thinking that they always were there. They weren't. They started out the same way. They
Yep.
had the same no's. They had the same failures. They had the same feeling. I once spoke with a person who wrote a wonderful book on self-confidence. This is many, many, many years ago. I won't say the name because obviously with the story, but he said when he wrote that book, he said he was actually at his lowest point ever. He really wrote that book for himself.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So don't for a minute, if you're watching this, okay, and you've got the best teacher in the business that you're learning from, okay, but don't think for a moment that he didn't go through this. And don't think for a moment you won't go through this, and everybody, but be okay with that. Doesn't mean you have to like it. We're not doing this. Oh, it's all great. It feel horrible. Oh, that's good. No, it's not. It stinks. Okay. But just realize it's part of it.
Yep.
It's part of it, and you will get past it, but you're going to have to work your way past it. Okay. Because again, that's just life. That's how it works. And so, I think that's really what it comes down to.
Love it. Tweet number 3. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
Single greatest people skill is a highly developed and authentic interest in the other person.
Well, yeah. I mean,
this is from 2014. This is your top pinned tweet.
Yeah. This is something that I learned, was not told, but learned by observing my dad, Allah Shalom, that he was a person who and his people skills were really very natural. He had an absolutely genuine, authentic interest in others. And it didn't matter who he was talking to. He would ask them questions about themselves. And I got to tell you, people just loved him. People just loved him. And it didn't matter who. It was very genuine. And again, that's what I say, well, what if I don't really care that much that's okay. Take the action as though you do. Follow Dr. David Schwartz's advice. Act as if. Just let action precede feelings. But I've got to tell you, it is that genuine interest you have in another human being. It's the single greatest people skill there is.
2 more. Do we have time? How are we doing on time? Are we okay?
Go ahead.
Okay, good. I got 2 more for you.
Okay,
Here's the next one. Make people feel genuinely good about themselves. There's something the marketplace will always honor. And you've just nudged the world forward, making it slightly better place than it was before.
Yeah. I mean, what is the marketplace? And so often we think of marketplace as just those buyers and sellers. Well, that is the marketplace. But again, your products and services can be fantastic. In fact, they need to be, but that's just the baseline. It's the experience that you provide them in every interaction, from that initial phone call to the initial meeting with that person, to the follow-up, the follow-through, the relationship building process, the sale, the referral, whatever it happens to be, right? Make people feel good about themselves. That's always, nobody ever thinks, oh, I hate that salesperson. He or she made me feel so good about myself. I love being around them. I don't ever want to do business with them. No, that doesn't happen. Okay. Again, this is never to say that the skill set and the competency and the knowledge isn't important. It is. It's just that it's the baseline, right? It's how you make that other person feel. And by the way, when you do that, it's not just great for business, it's good for life. It just helps everyone. There's no dichotomy between doing what's good for others and good for the world and good for yourself.
Yeah, I love it when in our business, we go on these appointments, and these are properties that are in rough condition, or they're in a financially rough condition. And we walk in, and the people are kind of really guarded, right? They're kind of guarded off the bat, and they're kind of like, I don't know. I feel uncomfortable with this person in my house right away. But what should I do? Should I show them the room? Should I show them the kitchen? Should I show them the backyard? We just sit them down and we say, before we get to any of that, let's just sit down and tell me what your goal is with this property. And it's like all of it just, it's like everything gets a little bit lighter. A lot lighter, actually. You know what I mean? And then it just opens up that conversation to say, wait, is what we have to offer a cash as is offer on their property? Is this really what's best for them? And you walk down that path and you find out what's going on, and asking that question. So it's critical. And you really take that genuine interest in what is this person going through, and can I actually help them? And if I can't help them, can I put them in touch with somebody that can? You go in with that attitude, you're unstoppable in this business. Unstoppable.
Love it.
Yep.
Love it.
Last tweet for Bob here. Here we go. Everything we think, feel, say, and do is a result of our belief system. This belief system is our unconscious operating system. A key to success in life is making the unconscious conscious, and that takes ongoing work. What do you mean, making the unconscious conscious?
Yeah, and actually, I found out that Carl Jung said that about until we make the unconscious conscious, we live our lives thinking that everything is simply luck, right? Because we just go along without thinking. Your belief system, a belief system. As human beings, we all operate from a set of beliefs. Okay, what is a belief? Basically it's a subjective truth. It's the truth as we understand the truth to be, not necessarily what the truth is. Now, sometimes our truths are the truth, but very often it's not.
Sure.
But we think it is. Those are beliefs. When you hear someone saying, well, my truth is, what they're saying is my belief is this. Okay. A truth and a belief are two different things. Often, sometimes they're the same, but often they're not. Well, as human beings, we are subject to a belief system. This belief system is given to us at a very young age, well before we are even conscious enough to be able to check premises and ask, well, why is this true? Why would you say this? Who taught you this? Where did they learn it from, right? We just accept these. So a combination of upbringing, environment, schooling, news media, television shows, movies, popular culture, cultural mores, all of these shape our belief systems. But by the time we're little more than toddlers, they're pretty much etched in stone, right? And again, as we go, most of us live our entire lives subject to, again, what I call an unconscious operating system, believing that we're making decisions out of conscious choice when really we're living in a matrix. If you remember the first movie, The Matrix, only instead of machines, it's our belief, it's our beliefs. Okay. And so if we do this, it means that we're really operating in a way that we're not conscious. So every decision we make is based on that set of beliefs. So we can't really be necessarily operating in truths. Life begins to change once we understand this is the case. And this is where we begin to take the unconscious and make it conscious. How do we do this? We start questioning premises. We begin questioning everything. We're not in a disrespectful way, but and I don't mean necessarily to other people you say that, but I mean, we just start, questioning. We say, well, why is this true? Why is this a fact? What is the principle this is based on? The person I learned it from, how do they know this? Where did they learn it from? Who did they learn it from? Why does this make sense as opposed to this? If someone says there's a choice between this or that, is that true or is it a false premise? Maybe it's neither. Maybe it's both. Maybe there's a third option altogether. But what I'm saying is when we go through the exercise of questioning premises and asking why, it's amazing what we open up our minds to.
How important, or how do the people that are around us affect that process, the unconscious? You know what I mean? The environment that we're in and or the people we surround ourselves with.
Well, yeah. What was it? The late Jim Rohn said, we're the sum total of, or with the average, of the five people we surround ourselves with. So what we need to do is ask ourselves the question, what I'm learning from them or what I'm hearing from them, does that add to life or does it subtract from it? I'm not saying change your friends. I'm just saying, just ask yourselves the question, ask the questions. If they're all saying, well, this is the way it is and blah, 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 you need to ask yourself the question, well, why? Why is this so? Now, if you can respectfully ask them, that's great too. I don't know your relationship with them. So it's always, but yeah, they absolutely, the people we're around all the time or continuously, they absolutely affect our set of beliefs and we affect theirs.
And you're around some of the most incredible, influential thought leaders that we have. I mean, you're around incredible people all the time. You're writing incredible books. You're being on stage with incredible people. Like, did you feel like as you've gone through your career, that you just find certain people that you really, really, really connect with and that everybody has kind of been uplifted by that? The whole group gets uplifted?
Well, and many people have uplifted me.
Right.
So I mean, I think we all try to uplift each other, but I do try to be around people that I find are I believe to be positive uh influences, right? Just like when we're a
Sure.
kid, right? And our parents want us to hang around positive influence,
Yeah.
or that person's a bad influence on you or a good influence on you. Well, it's the same as adults, right? And so
Yeah.
only we need to take responsibility for that ourselves. But yeah, I've been very fortunate that I do get to be around a lot of people who I learn from all the time. And that's always a good thing.
I love it. This has been absolutely incredible. Do you have a book coming out? What's on the horizon that we can get our hands on?
No, I don't have that, but what I do have is a daily impact email that I
I'm
send.
part of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Incredible.
Thank you. And we have a lot of fun with that. So I send that 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, and it's just a little note, or sometimes it's a how-to, sometimes it's a little bit of inspiration or a thought or whatever. Yeah, and that's the biggest thing. So we love when people subscribe to that, and we hope it improves their day in some way.
Berg.com is where we go.
Yeah, BURG.com, and there should be that
And you
little
can,
annoying pop-up.
and there it pops right up. You can get in there, and everybody on here watching this, and then the thousands watching the replay, and the thousands listening to this on the podcast, the Wholesaling Inc. podcast. Make sure you go to berg.com and get and be a part of that email daily email newsletter. And not even a newsletter, it's just inspiration. It's absolutely fantastic. Yeah. And I'll tell you this, just from my perspective, every time that I kind of get away from your material, your instruction, your message, I always see my business going down a little. It's just not as happy. It's just not as fun. It's just not, and not as profitable. And as soon as I get back, as soon as I go to your Twitter, as soon as I go to your website, as soon as I pick up this book that I've, got highlighted and beat up and everything, all of a sudden, boom, instantly, I'm snapped back, and I really understand the core message that I was taught in this book. And it just makes the day brighter for some reason. And this might feel heady or whatever else, but it makes it brighter. It feels like I have more energy. It feels like I have more direction. It feels like I have more confidence. Wow. And so I want to thank you for that. Well, I want to thank you. It's absolutely incredible.
You just made my day. I can't tell you how much I appreciate that, especially coming from such a professional as yourself and someone who's doing such great things. For you to say that really touches me deeply. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Bob. Thanks for being on here. And we really appreciate you and hope to have you back.
My pleasure. Thank you. Thanks, everybody.
See ya. Bob Berg, everybody. Come on. I bet you didn't expect that. Ha ha. What? Oh, my gosh. Absolutely incredible. Wasn't that great? Amazing. Absolutely amazing, guys. Yeah, I bet you didn't expect that we're going to have Bob Berg on here today, but I'm telling you, you will triple your business. This message right here will triple your business, and probably 10x, 20x, 100x, whatever else. This is the heart that you were looking for. This is the good feels that you've been looking for. The message here and the 5 laws of stratospheric success and everything that Bob Berg does is just absolutely, it puts your mind in an unbelievable place, which means that you can go out and serve on an unbelievable level. It's not that, push forward driver type, hardcore, do this thing. I liked those things. And then I read this and I was like, all those things didn't make me more successful. All those things kind of made me an asshole. Some of these people that tell you to 10X and do these other things, and they're fear mongers and all this other thing. Bob's going out there and he said, hey, guys, go love everybody, find out what their goals are, find a way to serve them, find a way to connect them with people in your world, and you're going to live a wonderful life and be able to have an incredible business. It's just a way different perspective. So that's it. That's it for the show, guys. Come on in, Hondra. Come on in, Matt, Daniel, you here? Guys, we love you guys. Make sure that if you're not subscribed, that you are subscribed. And if you are interested in getting all the free downloads, all the tools that you need, go to wholesalinginc.com, wholesalinginc.com. It's got everything for you there. If you are interested in joining the Rhino Tribe, go to ttpcall.com, ttpcall.com. And that's it. Listen, keep your house clean. your actual house and this house, right? Protect your health and increase your value to the world, and you'll live an incredible life. Until next week. Love you guys. See ya.